rest of you as well. Okay, so I'm very curious, okay? And I really would like a very honest answer from you. The textbook. And I must tell you, I am very pleased because I know you spent time with the textbook. I could tell you spent time with the textbook. So give me a critique of the textbook. And I'm going to start it off with Steve, because Steve will cut my heart out if it's not any good. Honestly, Steve, what did you think of the text?
It's funny you ask that because I think about this every time we do readings from the text, and I just read this module 15 this morning. You cover a great amount in a short distance. There's not a lot of wasted space. I mean, if you think about this week's assignment, depending on whether or not you read the Catholic or the charter schools thing, was 9 pages of the text. But there's not a wasted sentence. I mean, you finish one sentence and the next sentence has the useful information you need to understand the next concept. And that's helpful. And I guess that's one comment, so that's positive. The other positive comment would be the kind of survey reach across the states, and that whether it's kind of examples given or whether it's the whole 50 states or regions, is both helpful and has been complete in pretty much in every section of this each time.
I can't tell you how challenging it was to research. Obviously I was very aware of Ohio's system. I was aware of Pennsylvania's system, which was a little bit more complex than Ohio and West Virginia, the state funding model. And West Virginia is a very simple state model. Now, the local was, and I knew this, and I was prepared for this because, having students from Pennsylvania in my class, and we started talking about assessed value. And, most states set a specific percentage. I mean, except Michigan, which is really insane that they don't charge property tax, but that's beside the point. They catch people in other ways. But anyway, when I found out that in some instances in Pennsylvania, some school districts were charging 100% of the true market value of the property, I was flabbergasted. And so, I just can't, this book actually took me about 3 years to write. It took me quite some time because I was also teaching full time, of course, and doing that. So what would you say? How could I improve the book, the text?
From my point of view,
Yes.
I struggle with reading like big textbooks. And I don't know if you would say improving, because this was easy for me to read because I didn't get lost. Like most of the stuff that we were required to like find, I was able to find them without like any difficulty. So I personally really liked it. I'm not sure
I
about
really
other
appreciate,
people, but it was really easy for me because like I sort of get lost with like big textbooks, and I really liked the format, how everything was. So
I really appreciate that comment because quite honestly, well, two things. First of all, I write very simplistic to begin with. That's just me. I'm going to tell you an interesting story, or at least I found it interesting here in a moment. So that's kind of the way I write, period. And I'm glad that it came out that way because, in fact, I'll just be straight up. I can't remember what the concept was. And I used about 3 or 4 other school finance books from guys who had 10th editions, 12th editions, things like this. But of course, they didn't approach this by a state-to-state process. The reason I did that is I was teaching online, and I was going to have, I've already told you, I had a student from Guam in the class. and have had students from a variety of states, and it's state driven and local driven. And so that was part of that. Here's my story about my writing. So I got C's in high school English. I had a pretty tough teacher, but and it was college prep, but I got C's. I got C's in my English writing class in my freshman year in college. And to say that writing comes easy to me, it does not. And it wasn't until I was in my graduate and actually postgraduate, I was taking a class at Ohio State University, and the individual who was teaching the class was a former superintendent of Columbus Public Schools, very well noted gentleman, and he was an English teacher. And this is a face-to-face class. Of course, all my classes were face-to-face. One day, he walks into class and he reads a couple students' papers as exemplars. Mine was one of them. One of the things that and the course was actually public relations course. And the one thing he pounded on us, don't be talking in sentences, or don't write in sentences that people can't understand in the public. Be simple. Get your point across. It's getting your point across that's more important than anything else. So here I am, probably at that point, 30 something. And this was the first time in my life that somebody commended me for my writing. Needless to say, I asked him if he would write a letter of recommendation for my doctorate program. My dissertation was challenging to write, but I got it done in 2 years, I guess. That was a real challenge. And I've gotten better. The other thing that I would say is that you know me kind of well now. Many of you have had, well, only one of you have had me more than one time, but I'm a lifelong learner. And so therefore, I continue to try to improve my teaching, improve my writing, improve my researching, all those kinds of things I try to continue to do. So I really appreciate what you say there, Fatima, because I made a very concerted effort. Now, the smart thing that I did with this book, I'll tell you this as well. The smart thing I did with this book is knowing that my grammar skills and things, I decided that I was going to hire someone to proofread my book chapter by chapter, which they did. And they improved my writing tons. And the lady who did that actually wrote the foreword in my book. So you could look at that if you wanted to see some of her comments. But she was very, very helpful in making sure that I was clear, making sure that I was on point. I didn't finish my comment. So I can't remember what the concept was. And it was an important concept, a very important concept. And I've read Brimley's book. And once again, he's on his 13th edition or whatever. I read what he wrote, and I was shaking my head going, this makes no sense. None. Makes no sense. And so I made a point to rewrite what I wanted to say to make it so it made sense. So I really appreciate those points. Carissa, what's your take?
Well, I have to agree with both Steve and Fatima. I do like to read, and I do like to, sometimes I get excited about seeing big books, but in a concept like school economics, for me, that's so, nothing that I have ever touched before. I felt like the honesty and the ability that you had to just lay everything out and have tables and have things so easily found within each spot. And to go back and forth between non-public and Catholic schools, I'm sorry, public and non-public schools, I thought was so beneficial. And it was very simple to be able to understand, it taken in small bites, and very easy to go back and find what I needed to find. And the tables were wonderful as well. So I
Good.
appreciated
And
that.
so, yeah, I've already told you, I think, about why I included the non-public school information is because Catholic, there is nothing, absolutely nothing available for Catholic school principals to learn about school finance, which is extremely important, as you know. And so I said, that's every chapter is going to have a section of that, et cetera, et cetera. And I also knew that charter schools were just going crazy. And so I thought, well, I'm going to include that as well. Did you or anybody find it a little bit I mean, here's what I didn't tell you guys, but because I was kind of waiting, but what I would tell people in reading my book, if you come from a particular state, do one of two things. As you're reading it, highlight what it says about your state, because that's the information that you truly need to know. The other stuff is nice to know, but the stuff about your state is the stuff that needs to be known. So did any of you find that part, the way I did that, challenging? Did you find it, muddling, I suppose, as we were talking about this state or that state, do this, do that?
I just wanted to, I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead. I just wanted to comment back on the prior point, if I could. It does seem almost impossible to find like a worthy textbook or printed resource on Catholic school finance. But just for Carissa's point, as well as anybody's, there are two really helpful organizational resources that I have found that, should she continue in her progression to leadership, she may come across. And if she doesn't, she may want to look them up. In Michigan, there's the Michigan Association of Non-Public Schools, and the Catholic Diocese is a part of that. And they have a variety of conferences and PD and things. And that includes some of the business office things, such as finance and that. Not nearly what you would find in the public school arena, but and a good place to network. Nationally, there's the NCEA, the National Catholic Education Association, which also has conferences and other things, as well as just overall leadership development, just for your own kind of spiritual and how you're a leader development. So just wanted to take a minute while we were saying that to throw that out there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's a good point. And once again, I would say that this is lifelong learning kinds of stuff if you get into those leadership roles. Okay, Sister Anna, what might you say to me?
Yes, for me, I agree with Fatima and Cassius. Because English is my second language, so it's still challenge with me with some kind of specific terms. But however, your writing helped me to understand it very much, and especially if you make some like head title, so it's easy to look at, to see again, to find it again. And like Fatima, I don't like a very thick book. If I see the thick book at first, I will feel overwhelmed. But for this one, even though math is not my favorite one, I so challenged with that. But it helped me to understand and to learn a lot. Especially, I feel very grateful that you include some kind, not only the public school, but some stuff about the Catholic or the private school. So it's helped me to understand a lot as I focus more on the Catholic school and private school. So it's very easy for me to learn and to overcome. So I'm very pleased to learn this book from you and your writing.
So another item that I want to let you know, I had a glossary that in fact, I still have the glossary. In fact, I don't know if I gave you a copy of that glossary or not.
You did.
Yeah. And so, but I had that glossary in the book. and I had all of the important terms, because I know it's a matter of terminology. You got to understand, you can't understand the subject if you don't understand the terminology. And I had boldened all of the terms, and the publisher said, no, glossary, you got to cut the pages out, cut it down. And so it was out. So, Sister Pham, did you find that the resources that I provided in the web or in the course coincided with what you were reading?
Yeah, I know. I think I have the same experience of reading the book that are very informative and clear to very clear. So help me to easy, not too easy, but help me to understand now better. Yeah.
And you know, I just have to tell you this. I valued how hard you guys worked in the class. I knew, I mean, going in, I was a little bit concerned, although I knew the quality of students at Madonna. And so therefore that kind of eased some of my concern. But as time went on, you guys, time and time again, and I really have enjoyed the discussions. You guys have put some very good discussions out there that highlighted important key pieces of information. Okay,